Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode.
We're back after 18 years. No,
Right?
Just
Yeah.
kidding. It wasn't 18 years.
Maybe weeks, though. More than days, 18 days. How long's it been? I don't know. It's been a while.
I think the last note said May 23rd. Oh, wait, I interrupted your introduction.
Oh.
Go ahead.
All right.
Welcome
To another episode of Herbal Highlights with Angela Bewick.
and Malcolm Saunders.
All right. Cool. Well, life's been happening.
Life has been happening. We've been doing a lot of things.
For sure, including a little bit of traveling, connecting with fellow herbalists. Angela was out on Vancouver Island at the Vancouver Island Herb
Gathering. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, she's
Adventure.
brought some goodies back, some books, some inspiration. So we're going to pick her brain and talk about that. We're going to talk about Arnica. We're going to talk about our word of the week or month.
I think now it's summer, we're back. Maybe we're
into
not
the
going to
flow.
be in a routine. What
No.
are we joking? What are we kidding?
for
It'll be
sure.
sporadic throughout the summer. But
Well, actually, Patrick Whitman, he just did a Instagram post. He owns Blue Lotus Ethnobotanicals, and he's like, hey, if you're ever wondering where us plant people are, like kind of that transition of like spring into summer, it's like we're outside, we're harvesting, we're growing, we're doing all this stuff, and it's
this
so
is
true.
the busy, busy, busy time.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I've been doing a ton of foraging. It's been amazing. It's hard to keep up, actually.
I know. Well, shout out to the foraging forecast, though, because people can follow you there as well. That's a really
Yeah, totally. Like, what
great
is there to
resource.
harvest? There's so much.
There's so much right now.
Speaking of resources, maybe the good transition. So you picked this up at the Vancouver
Yeah,
Island
Marissa Marciano is a great. She's called the naturopathic herbalist. So she is.
Is it Vancouver or Victoria?
She's on Sunshine Coast now, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she's a wonderful herbalist and naturopath, and it's really great combination of those two modalities.
Yeah.
And this book is awesome. She has a co-author as well, who I did not meet. However, seems like a great guy.
Dr.
Nikita Visiek, Dr. Nick,
Yeah.
N-I-K. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's been really, really helpful because, like all of you, I am learning as we go along. And so this is like amazing resource. You can just pick. It gives you like a great introduction to all. There's even some papers in there, random papers. Nutrition, basic nutrition stuff, basic herbal actions. So a lot of the words that we talk about when we use our word of the week or whatever it is, word of an episode,
Yeah.
we're using a lot of herbal actions, which are the actions of the herb. What does it do in the body? And many of them do many things, but this one, for example, bitter orange, you open it up, it'll tell you what part we generally use, what are the constituents, which is helpful when we're doing something like making a tincture or figuring out how we want to prepare the plant. We can figure that out through what constituent we have, and then we learn as we go along
Yeah.
what is soluble in what constituent, or what constituent is soluble in what medium,
Yeah.
and then we can work with the plant that way. The action is what the plant does, as I mentioned. Where you might use it, like what kind of health issue may come up that you'd be like, okay, I want to think about this, and then what family the plant is in. And then just so much information about the pharmacology and the uses and toxicity, contraindications, which are really important.
Yeah. She's got all her references
Yeah,
there.
interactions. And it's just really such a great resource for anyone. So shout out to this book, Botanical Medicine. And Marissa's website, if you just look up the naturopathic herbalist, she has a ton of free information on there, and I felt so guilty constantly using it. She has a little donation button. I was like, I'm going to donate to her because that's so much work to prepare all that, and to offer it for free is a real gift for all of us. So
Cool. I mean, this is right up your alley. Nutrition, botanical medicine, right?
it's my bag, baby, and yours too.
Yeah, totally. Coming
Yeah.
from that world of foundation nutrition and then expanding outwards into plants.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, how did you get into this? And, there was a long-winded answer there. But I could answer that in so many different ways. But I think a big part of it was, studying the nutrition, it's kind of where you end up, right? In terms of like wild foods, you know, when you think about like, okay, nutrition, and you look at what's available, what's wrong with our food system, and how to fix it, and like how to get more nutrient density in, like it all comes back to wild foods.
Yep, it does.
So,
and just making the most of the food that we have.
yeah.
I think so often food, it doesn't need to be complicated. There's a lot going right with our food system as well, especially when we take it into our own hands and get to that grassroots.
And honestly, like as much as I may like, oh, our industrialized food system, you know, like it's a bloody miracle, actually.
We have a lot of abundance.
You and I are only alive because of it, like if we're actually really, truly honest.
Well, I don't know. I think I would be a real feisty warrior in the wilds.
Yeah.
But yes, true.
Yeah.
There's the same thing with Western medicine or like the allopathic model. There's so many wonderful things.
Yeah.
And I think the more education that we as practitioners and students and humans have, then the more we're able to apply things in an appropriate way.
Yeah, cool. So in this one, I've used this book already.
I know, I saw it on the table and I got a little bit like, who's using my book? But then I thought, no, I brought it into the shop.
Well,
it was actually a gift. If Emily is out there watching this, she gave me this book because she won 2 of them, and she very kindly shared this with me. So it was.
So you didn't even support Marissa by buying.
I did. I said I donated to her website. I'll go donate more to her website. She's lovely.
Well, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is.
Yeah,
it's true.
Shirley, who's in the kitchen helping out today, because she was on a plant walk with me and really connected with Arnica, and I was like, oh, you should, because I'd already looked it up.
Yeah.
When you and I were connecting. I was like, oh, you should check out the page on Arnica. So that's
such
one
an
of the
amazing
things,
plant
that I've been wild harvesting. It's out, it's popping this time of year. And her specific question was, what part do I use? Is it the leaves? Is it the flowers? Is it the roots? And I was like, oh, let me show you. So the book, right? The parts used. It's the flowers.
Yeah, but she does have in here somewhere. There are some herbalists who use the leaf as well.
Right.
As the flower, but primarily it's the flower that has those constituents that we really, really want to use. Now, one question I had for you was, how do we harvest it ethically? Because it is one of, especially Arnica montana, which is the Arnica that we generally grow, although there are a lot of kind of lookalikes, right?
Yeah.
How do you ensure that you're harvesting it?
Okay, so
in a sustainable
two
way?
answers to that. So when I did a little video with Blaine and Druzik, he says there's so many different types of Arnica, including one that only grows around Lake Louise. And as far as he's aware, even though Arnica montana has been the one that's kind of been more popularized and people are
Probably studied more.
Yeah. According to him, in his experience, they're all the same. And so this is one of those things, like, when you're just picking the flower tops, for me, if there's a whole kind of field of it, it's like, flower top here, flower top there, and just kind of like moving my way through the forest. You would never, ever want to like look back where where you just been and like, you don't see anything.
Not see any flowers. And I will say the oil that we made with this, there was it wasn't like we're using, we're making it on a very, very, very small scale.
Small scale.
And so we didn't use a ton.
Totally. So in just removing that kind of flower head, you maybe reduce some pollination, or maybe a bee has already gotten to it and it has been pollinated. But the root, the whole plant, everything's still there to bloom another year.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That makes me feel better. I asked him this question. All right. But
cool. Okay. Well, I love what let's just kind of share this, break it down, right?
Okay.
So constituents, well, there's a lot of, fancy names in there, but medicinal actions, maybe that's a little bit more kind of what we can get into. So anodyne, analgesic, that's a term.
We talked about that in January.
Yeah, so pain relieving, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, anti-neuralgic.
So anytime you see that neuro, it's nerves.
Yeah. Vulnerary. That's a term we covered
we did
previous.
cover that, right?
Yeah.
So it helps to heal up,
like
restore tissue.
Healing. Yeah. Rubefacient, if I've even pronounced that.
Rubefacient, I always think of it like it makes your cheeks
red.
It brings redness to the area, and in the way of increasing circulation.
Yeah.
Which is good. Anytime you have a wound or something, you want blood to be flowing to that area.
Totally. Actually, I listened to a good podcast with Rosalie De Flore. She was talking about Arnica, and out there in the world, there's so much like anti-inflammatory, and she's like, you know what, like. The inflammation process is actually like, it's
we need that.
We need it. And she's like, Arnica is a great example of where it is, in that sense of rubefacient, like it's like, it's a positive use of inflammation.
Yes, it's in modulator.
Yeah,
so it helps modulate inflammation so it doesn't get so chronic or serious that it starts to create a whole host of other problems. We want inflammation to come and then go.
Yeah.
And just... but it's a very important part of our immune system function for sure.
Totally. And then, so the last word that I've saved here, medicinal action, is anti-rheumatic. Yeah.
We were talking about rheumatisms, rheumatoid arthritis, probably people have heard of, rheumatic fever, similar kind of thing. But it's that idea of the inflammation of the joints. So in the old days when they used to talk about the humors, not those joints.
The inflammation of your joint.
It is Friday.
Yeah.
But it more like when they talk about the humors, they talk about like it's like the watery humors are coming into the joints and creating inflammation.
Right.
Which can be very painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a finger here, a joint.
You have 10 of them, actually.
Yeah. But this one in particular is slightly rheumatic.
Yeah.
So this was as a result
Not osteo?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I think rheumatic seems to be more connective tissue. I might be completely wrong with this.
Okay. So
and osteo is more bone.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe this is osteo.
But don't quote me on that because I am not a medical doctor. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, but
So maybe it's both. What happened? Did you bash it?
Well, yeah, I dislocated my finger. It was roller skating.
Classic Malcolm.
With the kids, and it's like, one last lap, I'm gonna do one more, and I trip and I fall, and I'm like, oh.
How long has it been?
It's been a couple years, actually. Yeah.
Maybe you should try some of our Arnica.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. It's like, I'll never notice it.
Yeah.
But if I kind of like massage it, rub it, like it is a little bit.
Maybe when you're playing your guitar.
Right.
Your banjo.
Yeah. It's my excuse that I don't play guitar.
That's exactly why you just stick with the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, right. So
that might be a rheumatic situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Old injury, joint issue there, and just a slight tenderness, and I'm assuming likely as I get older, this is gonna just get worse in that sense if I'm not like on it and careful. Right. Don't call that in.
No. Yeah. Don't call that in. Stay positive, Malcolm.
Yeah.
But yes, it is true that these types of arthritic conditions are very normal in humanity. They've been recorded since beginningless time, and even pre-recorded history when they found, human, what do they call them?
Remains.
I was trying to, fossils is coming to mind, but that's not the right word. But you know what I mean? When they find human remains from thousands of years ago, many of them have arthritis if they're old enough in their joints. So it's a very normal thing, but we will always want to, we don't want it to affect our quality of life to the degree that it could. So we always want to kind of manage these things.
Yeah.
So this is a good one. Important note about Arnica, it is not for internal use. There is toxic components of the plant.
And in fact, like the plant books, if you look it up, the one that we like to promote, the edible and medicinal plants of the Rockies, like Arnica, it's in the back, and toxic plants.
It's in the poison plants section.
Yeah. Which
makes sense, I guess, to a certain degree. The only exception for internal use with Arnica is in homeopathic.
Right.
So there are homeopathic Arnica
pellets
or liquids that you can take. Those would be, you would talk to a homeopathic physician and discuss that. But that was my pain. That was my pain medicine when I was giving birth.
Yeah, for sure. And post-birth or any kind of injuries. Like my understanding and use of Arnica has been like as soon as possible.
Yes, as soon as possible. And we're talking about bruising, not cuts, because we also do same internal use would be using it on an open wound. You don't want to do that.
Don't want to get in the bloodstream. So it's perfect for these kinds of things.
It's perfect.
Falling over.
Bruises are the number one thing I think of is bruises. And so we are going to, right now we have a smaller jar of this. We are going to package it in our tins in for the next round, because we want people to be able to just kind of have it in their first aid kit. Because again, first aid, like you want to use it right away, and it really is quite profound for bruising, especially when you get it right as soon as the bruise happens.
Totally. Yeah. So even in here, like pharmacy external use over intact skin only, poultice, and she's even got like ointment, you know, with 10 to 25% tincture. So you can tincture it, but definitely. Again, still, it's, you know, it's for your like liniments or putting into lotions, ointments, that kind of thing. But yeah, and as a home herbalist, like, you know, picking the flowers, extracting in the oil, I think that's the kind of the most common, easily made and accessible for people.
Yes, and if you want to know more about that technique, we have the complete medicine making class that Malcolm teaches.
Yeah, coming up actually, July 13th.
July 13th, shout out.
Yeah,
maybe I'll have to show up for that.
Yeah. Well, you helped on the last one.
I know, I should help on all of them.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah, totally.
And then the conferences, the main things I learned in the to shift over to our other topic.
Wow, what a smooth transition.
That was such a smooth segue. I just used words, no thought involved whatsoever. I loved, first of all, the community of herbalists in Canada and probably around the world is just amazing. And the group, the Canadian Herb Conference, who sort of oversees the Vancouver Island Herb Gathering and the Kootenay Herb Gathering, and then they have an online
annual conference
as well. They do such a good job. They're so organized. They really
really got it dialed in.
Yeah, and they create a really nice, beautiful space. But the theme was right livelihood.
Yeah.
So it was about finding, using the herbal path to kind of work with, Marissa's class was finding a heartfelt vocation.
Okay.
And it was really beautiful, and like that was just kind of the feeling of the whole thing, was just following the plant path wherever it takes you. And Malcolm's, you're good at reminding me of that, but not necessarily focused on, you know, let's make a lot of money, let's but really kind of thinking about, okay, well, how can I make a good living?
Yeah.
Plus help people.
Yeah, doing what you love.
Yeah, and do what I love to do. So it was a very cool thing.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, these types of conferences, gatherings, Alberta has them kind of sporadically these years.
I think we'll have one next summer for sure, I imagine.
It's for, you know, the top herbalists, it's for the professionals, and it's also for the layperson, you know, who's just like...
The herbal enthusiast.
Even just like dipping your toes, like the ability to come together in a small community of like-minded plant people, you know, take workshops, go on walks, like, you know, conversations during lunch, like it's amazing. It's just such an immersion into the world and into the community, where you'll meet lots of people, again, at all different ages and stages of the plant path.
Yeah, there are all ages, actually. There's lots of kids there.
Yeah.
And lots of elders.
And lots of elders, and those in between. Yeah, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about your conference?
Well...
Or your main takeaway?
Yeah, okay.
That's sticking with you?
Yeah, I was invited to speak at Economic Development Conference up in Peace River. So, you know, their major industries are like agriculture, forestry. Mainly forestry was how it was presented to me, but the women organizing wanted to just invite other people who also make their livelihood from the forest, just to kind of like show a different perspective, expand perceptions, that kind of thing. So yeah, there was actually one other herbalist that was presenting up there, and yeah, it was fun. It was nice. Just got to share about myself and you know, connection to the forest.
That's so good, because often the two worlds can be very split, the sort of commercial use of the forest and what we do, which is like, there is a commercial element to it, but our main element is just like, we just want to help people, and we want to introduce people back into nature.
Yeah.
And so that's very cool that you were invited to that.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, and I think between myself and the other gal, we kind of brought all that in, of just like, you know, personal connection to that landscape and that forest, and then also how we're creatively creating a livelihood out of it too. From what the forest provides beyond timber, in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice to get up there, get into the community, and then I was also invited by another herbalist. So I met at Alberta Herb Gathering previous year, who has a little home studio space, and we did an event up there, and it was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Sharing the wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Okay. Well, good chat. Thanks everyone for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. And,
See you soon.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be as long till the next one.
It won't be as long.
But-
Well, there's no promises. Summertime.
Summertime.
The living is easy.
Yeah, it's all in good flow. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
See you later.